Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Venerable Sangha, nuns and laity. So, we'll resume with our discussion on the method number 11, which is Sanghahitena Sampayuktam Vipayutta. So last week there are about 5 groups which we have to 6 group actually we have to discuss on this group, and in the last week we discussed the first group, right? Yeah, so we'll continue with the rest today. Not the last week, it's the week before, right?
我们今天呢将继续来学习第11法的相关内容。以摄相应不相应。在之前的课上，我们已经结束了第11法之中6个探究法的内容。那我们争取在今天呢将所有的探究法的内容呢全部结束。
Right. So the second group which we are supposed to discuss is on the Magga Saccena. Magga Saccena means the path, right? The truth of the path. And here it's the Magga Saccena. So the Paramattha Dhammas which are applicable for the Magga Saccena are the eight factors, right? 8 factors which are applicable for the path, right? So then next one, in the next sentence, what we have to do is we have to just get the first Abhidhamma. So for that, there are 3 Sanghahita, 3 classifications that we need to work out, which is Khanda Sanghahina Sanghahita, Ayatana Sanghahina Sanghahita, and Dhatu Sanghahina Sanghahita. So Magga Sacca, which is the 8 mental factors. So all of them are classified in the Sankhara Kanda, and then Ayatana Sanghahina Sanghahita, they are classified in the Dhammayatana, the ideation base, and Dhatu Sanghahina Sanghahita, that is the it's in the ideation element. So how to get this Sarupatta here? It's the if you remember, if you can recall the method number 4, which is Sanghahitena, Sanghahita, and Sanghahita, the Sarupatta which come for the first Dhamma was the 50 mental factors. 50 mental factors excluding the, to get it in this way, if you can recall it, it's because that the 8 mental factors which are applicable for the path arise in the other mundane wholesome in the mundane wholesome consciousness also. So because of that, this 50 mental factors, even though from the 50 it's like ideally it should be 50 minus 8 to be 42, but the 50 is considered because of that factor, right? Even though this 8 mental factors are deducted, we have to consider that as well, right? So you say 50. So that is the answer for the first Abhidhamma. Then, so first Abhidhamma, and then the second part of the question, it says Te Dhamma Katihi Khandehi Katihi Ayatanehi Katihi Dhatuhi Sampayutta. So those states with using how many aggregates, with how many aggregates, with how many elements, how many bases, with how many elements are those dhammas are associated with. So those dhammas are associated. So the answer is given Te Dhamma Tihi Khandehi. So those 50 mental factors excluding the path. So they are associated with 3 aggregates. So what are those 3 aggregates? So now all these belong to the Sankhara Khandha. So those are associated with the feeling, then the perception, and also the viññāṇa, the consciousness aggregate, right? Then the next part, it says ekena ayatanena sattahi dhatuhi. So ekena ayatanena means it's the yeah. So ekena ayatanena means it's the manayatana, which is the write it here. It's the mind base. And sattahi dhatuhi sampayutta means it's the draw it here, put it here. It's the seven consciousness elements. Right? Those are 7 consciousness elements. Then it has ekena khandena ekena ayatanena ekaya dhatuya keheji sampayutta. So it is associated with one, partially associated with ekena khandena, one aggregate, right? So these dhammas are associated with the Sankhara Khandha, which is the mental formations, right? Mental formations. And the Sarupatta, which is applicable for this one is it's the 8 path factors, right? And then ekena ayatanena ekaya dhatuya keheji sampayutta. So ekena ayatanena ekaya dhatuya, it is applicable. It's for the ideation element, and okay, right here, ideation element, and the ideation base, right? So the Sarupatta for the ideation element and the ideation base are these 8 mental factors, same, right? It's not different. Then the final part of the question, it's on the disassociation. It says Katihi Vipayutta, right? So with how many aggregates, with how many bases, with how many elements are those states are disassociated with. So it says ekena khandena Dasa hayatanehi dasahi dhatuhi ippoita. So these 50 mental factors, excluding the path, they are disassociated with one aggregate, which is the, for here it is the one. So it is the matter aggregate, the rupa kanda, and dasa hayatanehi means 10 bases. So that those are the 10 gross bases, and dasahi dhatuhi, it's the 10 gross elements. Right. And then we move to the next one, which is the partial disassociation. So it says ekena ayatanena ekaya dhatuya kehichi vipparitta. So this is the ekena ayatanena means one, right? It's the ideation base, and ekaya dhatuya, it's the ideation element. Ideation element, and the sarupata which are applicable for here for the ideation base and the ideation element is the subtle matter and nibbana. Right? So that's how you get the answer for the Magga Satcha. Yes.
好，更正一下，那这个呢是第11法当中的第2个探究法，是道谛。那首先我们应当明白道谛它所包含的、所对应的究竟法的内容呢是8种的道知，那也即是8种的心所。那我们来按照经文的内容，首先看一下对于道谛而言，有哪些的法能够以运摄、以处摄、以非摄的方式呢，摄于道谛。那最终呢，那老师提到这一部分的内容呢，和之前所学习到的第5法的内容呢是相一致的。在之前呢，我们有提到过，最终得到的第一个耶达玛那些法的内容呢，应当是在50种的行运之中扣除了这8个作为道知的心所。最终呢，我们得到第一个耶达玛的内容是42个剩余的行运的心所。当得到了第一个耶达玛之后呢，进一步的来到第2个问题，对于这42种的心所法，那它可以相应于哪些的运处界呢？那答案呢是它可以相应于3种的运、1种的处和7种的界。3种的运呢，因为它们42种都是心所法，所以它们可以相应于受运、想运跟识运这3种的命运。那除此以外，相应于1种的处就是意处，相应于7种的界即是70界。那再者的话，有哪些法部分的相应于这42种的心所呢？有1种的运、1种的处和1种的界。它们分别是1种的行运，在行运之中的8种的道知能够与这42种心所法相应。那1种的处跟1种的界就是法处和法界，在法处和法界之中呢，因为它包含了所有的心所法，所以呢有10种的心所法呢，则是与它们相应。那第3个问题是，对于这42种的心所，有哪些法与它们不相应呢？答案是有1种的运、10种的处、10种的界与它们不相应。1种的运呢，就是色运；那10种的处跟界呢，就是10种的粗色处或粗的色界。最后的部分呢，那又有哪些法部分的不相应于这42种心所呢？答案呢是有1种的运和一种的处和1种的界是部分不相应的。那即是法处和法界之中的16种微细色和涅槃，它们呢与这42种心所是不相应的，是部分不相应的。OK，班队。
Okay, we'll move into the next one. which is Itindriyena, the female faculty. Okay, so Itindriyena Yedhamma Kanda Sangahena Sangahita, Ayatana Sangahena Sangahita, Dhatu Sangahena Sangahita. So Itindriyena or Itindriyena, the Sarupata which is applicable here is the female faculty. Which is the female faculty. So you have to get the Khanda Sangahena Sangahita with Ayatana Sangahena Sangahita and Dhatu Sangahena Sangahita classified using the aggregates, classified using the bases, and classified using the elements. So for this one, so we know the Itindriya, the female faculty, it's part of the matter aggregate. So it's classified in matter aggregate, and it's so dhammas which are so when you consider that, and then we move to the classification of bases, and Itindriya, it is classified in the ideation subtle rupa, and when we move into the classification of elements, it is classified in the ideation element, and it is classified subtle matter, excluding the female faculty, right? So this is the first Yedhamma. So then the second part of the question, we have the Te Dhamma. So it has Te Dhamma, Katihi Kandehi, Katihi Hayatanehi, Katihi Dhatui Sampuitadi. So then we have to find out with how many aggregates, with how many bases, with how many elements are those dhammas associated with. So we know that these 15 subtle matter, they are matter, right? They belong the rupa. So they don't have the association. So the answer is given as nati. Nati means there is no association, right? Nati means it means no, not there, right? Then it says the other part of the question, the second question, it says katihi viparita, which means with how many aggregates, with how many bases, with how many elements are those dhammas disassociated with. So the answer is given as chatuhi khandehi. Those states are associated with 4 aggregates, right? Sorry, they are disassociated with 4 aggregates. So what are those 4 aggregates? Those are the 4 mental aggregates, right? Four mental aggregates, and then ekena ayatanena sattahi dhatuhi vipoita. So it's disassociated with one base, which is the mind base, and sattahi dhatu means 7 elements. So those are the seven mind elements, right? Then we have the partial disassociation. It's given as ekena ayatanena ekaya dhatuya kehichi vipoita. So ekena ayatanena and ekaya dhatuya, it's the one element and one base, which is the ideation element, ideation base, and the ideation element. So with the ideation element and ideation base, it's the 52 mental factors, right? 52 mental factors, which these 15 subtle matter excluding female faculty are disassociated. It's with these 52 mental factors, right? So that's the answer for the Keiichi Viparita, for the partial disassociation. Yes.
接下来的一个探究法呢是 Itidiria， 就是女根。那这里的女根呢，就是女性根色。那女性根色呢，是属于微细色的其中一种。那我们来看一下，如果探究法是女性根色，那么该如何去分析呢？对于女性根色而言，那么有哪些法以运色相摄、以触色相摄、以界色都与女根色的相摄相同呢？那最终的答案呢是16种的微细色之中，除了女根色之外，剩下的15种的微细色，它们呢是能够满足这样的条件。所以我们得到第一个耶达玛呢，就是这15种的微细色。那这里的第一个耶达玛呢，将作为第二个问题的探究法的内容。其实对于这15种的微细色而言，那么有哪些法能够与它们相应或部分相应呢？答案是没有。那因为它是色法的内容，所以呢没有。那进一步的发问，又有哪些法能够与它们不相应呢？那答案呢是，对于不相应而言，则是有4种的韵、1种的触和7种的界，能够与这15种的微细色不相应。4种的韵呢，就是四明韵、受想行识；1种的触呢，就是意触；7种的界呢，就是七识界。那么又有哪些法部分的不相应于这15种的微细色呢？答案是1种的触和1种的界，那即是法触和法界之中的52种的心所法作为明法呢，与这15种的微细色部分的不相应。OK， Bande。
Okay, so Brother JJ just sent me a question in the chat asking whether, so he was referring to the path truth, which we discussed previously, right? It's on the path truth, right, Brother JJ? Here,
Yes,
right?
Bhante.
Yeah. So the question he was asking that in this chart, in this table, the answer for the first Dhamma is the 50. It's given as 50. So he was asking whether do we need to correct the table based on this, based on what I taught here? Well, I think maybe I did not explain it well enough. So there's a misunderstanding. So what I intended was we have to take this 50, not the 42. So what I mean is that now the path truth, right? It's the eight mental factors which arise in the path consciousness, which arise together with the path consciousness. Do you get this point? Yes or no?
Yes, Bhante. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So it's the 8 mental factors we have to take, which arise at the point of path consciousness, right? Not the other time, right? So, but these 8 mental factors, right? These 8 mental factors, they do arise in other consciousness also, right? They arise in Kamavachara Chittas, right? Kamavachara Chitta, and also 5 of them arise, excluding the 3 Virati. They arise in Rupavachara also. And it's the same case with the Arupavachara as well. Right? So even though these 8, on the face, it seems we have to deduct it, because they do arise in the Kamavachara, Rupavachara, and Arupavachara, we are not removing them, the whole eight mental factors, and consider this as Yedhamma, as the 42 mental factors as Yedhamma. So what you are taking as Yedhamma, it's the 50 mental factors which comes in the mental formation aggregate, excluding the 8 mental factors at the point of path consciousness. So it means like, even though we are removing 8 mental factors, we cannot completely remove that because of these 3, right? Because these mental factors, they arise at this point as well, these points in these chittas as well. So that's the reason.
So, but if so, for the Hiji Sambayutta, the answer will be different, right?
Oh, yeah. Here is it. Kehichi Sampayutta would be different. No. The reason is that when we are considering the Sampayutta, we have to look it as those dhammas have arisen also, right? So, like we take the 50 mental factors, excluding the path, right? Excluding the path consciousness, the path mental factors. So the other 42 mental factors, we consider them to not 42 then. We have to take the, how many? From 38, from 36, we have to deduct 8. So it means a 28 consciousness, 28 mental factors. We consider them to be arisen. And so that, and those dhammas, they are associated. They are associated with the 8 path factors, like that. Those 8 mental factors. Yes, also.
OK，班队。好，那么刚刚呢，这之前也有问到，在摩罗巴达纳西亚多的书上呢，在表格之中，对于第2个探究法道地，它的给予的答案，在相涉的内容之中呢，则是提到的是50种的心所法。那老师呢，在这里做了一个澄清，就是呢，我们刚刚说的是42个心所，那实际上呢，我们应当考虑的是50个心所。为什么呢？因为对于这里的道地呢，它应当只是指代出现在4种道心之中的圣道心所。然而呢，对于这8种的道支呢，对于道支而言呢，很多时候呢，他们还会出现于欲界心、色界心和无色界心之中。因为这样的缘故呢，因为它们仍然可以存在于这些类型的心之中，那而并不是作为道支的内容。然而呢，它们也是心所法，所以呢，在探讨这个相应的心所部分的时候呢，如果以一达玛的内容去讨论，我们也应当去考虑在色界、欲界、色界、无色界的心之中，也有这样的8种的心所法呢，是能够作为一达玛的内容，成为他们相摄的内容，因为呢，他们也可以被摄于相同的运、相同的处和相同的界。因为这样的原因呢，也应当考虑到这8种的心所在 在世间行之中的这8种的心所法。好，那因为这样的缘故呢，那我们要更正一下。第一个，对于探究法师道地的时候，它的第一个耶达玛的内容呢，就是50种的心所法。OK， Bante。
Yes. Yes, also. Are we done with the finish with the translation?
Yes, finish, Bante.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so now we move into the next one. Next group, which we are supposed to discuss, it's it's on the Sukhindriya, right? Sukhindriya means the pleasant feeling, right? The pleasant feeling, it's the feeling mental factor, but we specifically select the pleasant feeling, right? So we have to get the first Dhamma. So Sukhindriyena. Okay, so have a question in chat. Okay, so I think it's better we clarify that and go, right? Is it up also? Yes.
Yeah, I'm checking.
Okay, sorry.
This question is about the previous Sarupata in Itidiliya. For Itidiliya, when come to the last question about the Kahiji Vibayuddha, so she want to know why when we talking about the Kahiji Sambayuddha, the answer is only one Ayatana and one Dhatu, which are mentioned only 50 Jidasika, not including Nibbana.
Oh, now there's the theory also. We consider with the even this thing when the rupa, if you consider the rupa, the matter, it is disassociated with nama, right? If you consider the nama, it is disassociated with rupa and nibbana, right? So nama is not the rupa is not disassociated with nibbana, only with nama. That's why you only take these 52 mental factors.
那老师解释说呢，对于色法而言，与它不相应的是名法，涅槃呢不包括；对于名法而言，不相应的是色法和涅槃。所以呢，这里呢只包含有52种的心所。OK, Bante, we can continue.
Okay, so we move to the Sukhindriyana. So we have to get the first Dhamma for Sukhindriyana. So Dhamma, Khandha Sanghahena Sanghahita, Ayatana Sanghahena Sanghahita, and Dhatu Sanghahena Sanghahita. So for Khandha Sanghahena Sanghahita means with the Dhammas which are classified by the pleasant feeling in the classification of aggregates, right? So dhammas which are associated by the pleasant feeling in the Vedana Khandha, right? These belong to the feeling aggregate, right? Feeling aggregate. But the dhammas which are classified by this one, it's from the other four types of feeling, right? Which is the somanassa, then we have the domanassa, upekha, and also the dukkha vedana, right? So these four types of feelings are classified using the classification of aggregates, and with that we move into the classification of the bases. So in the classification of bases, it is the same dhammas, right? From the feeling aggregate, it is the somanassa, domanassa, upekha, and dukkha vedana, which are classified using the classification of bases. Sorry, it's the same case with the classification of elements. It's somanassa, domanassa, upekha, and dukkha vedana. So it's in the ideation element, ideation base, and in the ideation elements, right? And the next part, it's the next part of the question says the sampayutta, right? The association of these dhammas, right? So with how many aggregates, with how many bases, with how many elements are those dhammas associated with? So the answer is given as tihi khandhi. Those dhammas are associated with 3 aggregates. So what are those 3 aggregates? Those are the other 3 mental aggregates, excluding the feeling aggregate, right? Which is the perception, then perception, mental formations, and then the consciousness, right? Then it says next one, ekena ayatanena. So those dhammas are associated with 1 base. So what is this 1 base? The mind base. Then you have sattahi dhatu. Sattahi dhatu means 7 elements, which is associated with 7 elements. So those are the 7 mind elements, right? So that is the association. Then we have the partial association. So in the partial association, we have ekena ayatanena ekaya dhatuya kehichi sampayutta. So for this one, ekena ayatanena and ekaya dhatuya, it is the ideation base, and the ideation element, right? So this ideation element and ideation base, so here it should be the 4 aggregates. No, it should be, yeah. So it's the 51 mental factors excluding feeling. Then we have the disassociation, right? Katihi vippayutta. It says ekena kandena dasahayatanehi dasahi dhatuhi vippayutta. So ekena kandena means it's disassociated with the matter aggregate. So dasahayatanehi means 10 elements, 10 bases, and dasahi dhatuhi means 10 bases. So these are the gross, the 10 gross bases and the 10 gross elements, right? And then we have the partial disassociation. It says ekena ayatanena ekaya dhatuya kehichi vippayutta. So for this ekena ayatanena and ekaya dhatuya, we know it's the ideation element and ideation base and ideation element. For ideation element and ideation base, it's the subtle matter. Subtle matter and Nibbana. Yes.
好，下一段的内容呢，它的探究法是 Sukindriya，就是乐根。乐根呢，它是一种的受，主要呢是在生识之中的乐受。那对于受而言呢，我们首先应当在此呢，以五种受而去看待。这里受它的成分，那它是在五种受之中的一种受，就是生识的乐受。对于乐受而言，有哪些法以运摄、处摄、戒摄能够和它的相摄相同呢？那么答案呢，就是除五种受之中，除了乐受以外，剩下的四种受，那即是生识的苦受、乐受、舍受和忧受。剩下的这四种受呢，即是第一个的耶达玛的内容。那对于这四种受而言，它们相应于哪些法呢？那四种受呢，它们都是受。那因此呢，这些的受呢，它们相应于三种的运、一种的处、七种的戒。三种的运呢，就是想运、行运和识运；一种的处呢，就是意处；七种的戒呢，就是七识戒。那一部分相应而言呢，则是会有法处跟法界之中的除了受以外的其他的51种基础法，能够与这些的受呢存在部分相应的关系。那对于不相应而言呢，则是有色运与这些的受不相应。那因此呢，是一种的运，还有10种的处和10种的戒，即是10种的粗色处和粗色戒与这些的受不相应。部分不相应，则是有一种的处跟一种的戒，即是法处和法界之中的16种微细色以及涅槃与这些的受呢，是部分的不相应的。OK, Bante.
Okay. Explain a couple more things which is related to state of inquiries which are similar. We have Dukkhinriyana, right? We have this Dukkhinriyana and Somanasindriyana, and we have the Domanasindriyana. Yeah, so these dhammas are there. So the method is same for this Dukkhinriyana, Somanasindriyana, Domanasindriyana, but the Sarupata which comes here becomes slightly different, right? The reason is that when the first Dhamma, right? So when the state of inquiry, say for example, if the first state of inquiry is Dukkhinriyana, it becomes the other 4 types of feeling, which is Somanassa, then the Somanassa, then Domanassa, Upekha, and Sukhindriya. So now we know that I'm sorry. For Dukkhinriya also, it's the 51 mental factors. The answer is going to be the same, right? But if you consider if the state of inquiry is under consideration is the somanas indriya, so the first Dhamma become the domanassa, upekha, dukkha, and sukha. So there are certain mental factors which arises only with the somanassa feeling, with the somanasa indriya, which is the piti chetasika, right? The joy chetasika. So this chetasika has to be removed. So then this becomes 50 in that case. It's not going to be 51 mental factors, it's going to be 50 when the state of inquiry is somanas indriya. So yeah, so if it is the state of inquiry become the domanas indriya, right? If it become domanas indriya, so the first Dhamma is going to become somanassa, upekha, pekindriya, dukkindriya, and sukhindriya. So in that case, because domanassa is not there, we know there are certain mental factors such as the four mental factors which arises only with the dosa chittas. So they are not applicable, right? Dosa, issa, macharya, and kukucha. So those are not applicable. So in that case, what happened? This 51 becomes 47, right? So likewise, the method is the same, but depending on the state of inquiry which is in this method, it's the sarupata for this partial disassociation is going to change a little bit, right? That we need to know. Yes, awesome.
那么在第411段的经文之中，除了乐根之外呢，还有存在其他的4种根，就是其他的4个受。当我们在分析剩下的4个受的时候，需要注意一些问题。如果探究法是乐受的时候，那当探究法是乐受的时候呢，我们所得到的耶达玛就是除了乐受之外的剩下的4个受。在剩下的4个受，哪4个受呢？即是除了乐受以外的苦受、乐受、舍受跟忧受，这些受之中呢，都存在的时候呢，都不会有喜与它们相应。因此，在我们分析到部分相应的时候呢，在提到有法处跟法界部分的法与它们相应的时候呢，应当在51种法的基础之上呢，再去除喜心所，而剩下的只有50种的心所。再有的话，如果探究法是忧受的时候呢，那么这里的耶达玛的内容呢，则只能够是苦受，是乐受、苦受、舍受和乐受。那么那些与嗔根心相应的4种的嗔组的心所呢，则不会出现。那在这种情况之下呢，如果我们去分析有哪些部分的法有哪些法的部分与这4种的除了忧受以外，剩下的4种受相应呢，则是在原有的51种心所的基础之上呢，要特别的扣除只能够存在于嗔心之中的4个嗔组心所。那这样的话呢，它的部分相应的心所法呢，则它的数量呢，则变成了51个心所的基础之上，再扣除4个嗔心所，变成了47个心所。这个呢，是在分析部分相应的时候需要特别考虑的问题。OK， Bande。
Okay, so Brother JJ asked a question. I cannot understand it. Can you please explain it? You are referring something to the table and asking.
Vandami Bante. Bante, under this bodily pleasure faculty, the classified with this is the number 4. There's a 4 under mental formation. I'm just wondering, it should be under the column remaining feeling instead, just like the indifference faculty.
Yeah. Yes, it has to be corrected like that.
Okay, thank you very much, Bante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, Sadhu for pointing it out. Okay, the next state of inquiry is Upekkhindriyena, which is the indifference faculty. It's easy, right? Indifference faculty. The method is same. Right. So it is the indifference faculty. Indifference faculty means the upekha vedana, right? Neutral feeling. Right. So for the upekha vedana, we have to get the Khanda Sanghahina Sanghahita, Ayatana Sanghahina Sanghahita, and Dhatu Sanghahina Sanghahita. Right. So I'm not going to go into detail in this because it's very straightforward. It's the same method as the before, the group which we discussed earlier. So here the Yedhamma becomes the four types of feeling, right? Other four types of feeling, right? So Manassa, Domanassa, and Sukha, and Dukkha. Okay, do we get this thing? So these are the four types of feeling. So Te Dhamma, Tihi Kandehi Ekena Ayatanena, Dvihi Dhātuvi Sampayutta. So these Dhammas, they are associated with Tihi Kandehi, which means it is associated with three aggregates, right? So what are those three aggregates? The perception, mental formations, and then we have the consciousness aggregate, right? And it says it is associated with one base, which is the mind base, and it says it is these dhammas are associated with two elements. So what are those two elements? Somanassa, Domanassa, Sukha, and Dukkha. What are those two elements? It's the Manoviññāna Dhātu Manoviññāna Dhātu and Kaya Viññāna Dhātu. So the other five types of other five elements, five mind elements, they are associated. They are not associated with these four types of feeling, right? Because they are only associated with the indifference feeling. Okay, then we have the partial association. For the partial association, says ekena ayatanena ekaya dhatuya kehichi sampayutta. So ekena ayatanena, and for ekaya dhatuya, it is the ideation base and ideation element, right? So for this one, these four types of feeling, they are associated with 50 mental factors, excluding the feeling and doubt, right? The vicikiccha, you know, the vicikiccha, the doubt mental factor, it arises in only with the indifference faculty, indifference feeling, right? In the vicikiccha chitta only. So because of that reason, we only take the 50 mental factors here. And next, we move into the research. Right. So it says ekena kandena dasahayatanehi, it's disassociated with one aggregate, which is the matter aggregate. Dasahayatanehi means it's disassociated with 10 aggregates, which is the 10 gross bases. It says it is disassociated with 15 of them, 15 elements. So how do you derive these 15 elements? It's the 10 gross bases, right? Which are matter. And then we have the Chakku Viññāna Dhātu. Then we have the Sota Viññāna Dhātu. So why do this Chakku Viññāna Dhātu is applicable? It's because it's only associated with the indifference feeling, right? So the Te-Dhamma which we are discussing is on the Somanassa, Domanassa, Sukha, and Dukkha, right? So that's why this Chakku Viññāna Dhātu Chakku Viññāna Dhātu is disassociated. Then we have Sota Viññāna Dhātu, and then we have the Gahana Viññāna Dhātu. Then for the Kaya Viññāna Dhātu, oh no, sorry, we have the Jivha also, right? The Jivha Viññāna Dhātu. The Jivha Viññāna Dhātu. And for the Kaya Viññāna Dhātu, it's not applicable here. It's the reason. The reason for that is that Kaya Viññāna Dhātu, we have Sukha and Dukkha Vedana, the Sukha and Dukkha feeling, right? So it is not disassociated, they are associated, right? Because we consider it here, Kaya Viññāna Dhātu. And then we have the Mano Dhātu as well, right? Mano Dhātu, all the three consciousness which arise in Mano Dhātu, they have the neutral feeling only, they associate with the neutral feeling only. So that's how we get the 15 bases, right? So 10 gross bases. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So that's how we get the 15 bases, which these dhammas are disassociated with. And finally we have the partial disassociation, which is ekena ayatanena and ekaya dhatuya kehichi vipayutta. Right? So ekena ayatanena and ekaya dhatuya, it is the ideation it's the ideation base and the ideation element. So here it's the Paramata Dhammasa, the subtle matter, and Nibbana. Okay. Yes.
好，我们来看一下第412段的经文的内容。这里呢，探究法是乌贝根迪利亚，就是舌根。舌根呢，它也是一种的受。那相同于在上一段经文之中我们所看到的那些的受，对于舌根而言，那这里的能够与它以运出界相摄相同的法呢，则是除了舍受之外，剩下的4种受：乐受、苦受、乐受和忧受。对于这4种受而言呢，它们可以相应于哪些的运出界呢？它们可以相摄于3种的运，即是小运、行运跟识运。它们可以相应于1种的处，即是意处，还有呢2种的界。那为什么这里是2种的界呢？因为这里的受呢，它们不包含有舍受的情况，所以呢，在7种的十界里面，那么我们知道，对于眼耳鼻舌这4种的十界，还有呢意界，它们的受呢都是舍受。那因为这里的一达玛的内容呢不包含有舍受，所以探讨这4种受的相应法的时候呢，需要去除这70界之中的这5个与舍受相应的十界。那我们得到的答案呢，就是除了这5种世界之外，剩下的生世界和意识界，这个是与它相应的内容。那部分相应而言呢，则是有1种的处和1种的界，即是法处跟法界之中的50个心所，能够部分的与这4种受相应。那为什么是50个心所呢？对于全部的52种心所呢，要去除受心所本身，还要去除疑心所。为什么呢？因为疑心所只能够出现在舍具相应的痴根心、舍具相应的舍具疑相应的痴根心之中。那因为这样的疑呢，它的出现一定是与舍受相应的，所以呢，这里的一达玛的内容不包含有舍受，要去除疑心所。这是为什么我们得到的部分相应的法处跟法界之中的心所呢，是50个的数量。接下来又有哪些的法对于这4种受而言是不相应的呢？则是有1种的运、10种的处和15种的界。1种的运呢，就是色运；那10种的处呢，就是10种的苏色处。而到界的时候呢，则是有15种的界与这4种受不相应。为什么呢？同样的道理，因为这4种受之中呢，不包含有舍受。那在18种戒里面，但凡是那些舍受的舍受类型的民法或只与舍受相应的民法呢，都可以作为它的不相应法。所以在原本的10种粗色戒的基础之上呢，在考虑民法的时候，还要加上眼耳鼻舌十戒，还有呢还有意戒这5种的戒。因为这5种的戒，它们必定与舍受相应，所以呢，他们呢将作为这除了舍受以外剩下4种受的不相应法。那这样的话呢，我们得到是15种的戒，部分不相应的内容呢，则是有1种的处和1种的戒，就是法处跟法界之中的16种微细色和涅槃，它们呢都与这4种的受呢是部分的不相应的。OK，版对。
Yes. Okay, so we move into the final group of this 11th method, which is Paridevena. So for Paridevena, it's lamentation, and it's a the mind-born sound with lamentation, right? So then we have to get the Khanda Sanghayana Sanghita, Ayatana Sanghayana Sanghita, and Dhatu Sanghayana Sanghita. For Khanda Sanghahena, for the Khanda Sanghahena Sanghahita associate the classified by the aggregates, it's the Rupa Khanda, right? It's the matter aggregate, which these dhammas are classified. Then for Ayatana Sanghahena Sanghahita, so this sound, it belongs to the sound base. It belongs to the sound base, and dhammas which are associated, which are classified, are the non-lamentation sound and the Utuja Rupa. Utuja Sadharupa means the, oh, I forgot the English term. Utuja Sadharupa. Can anybody help me, please? Do you have it in the
Temperature bond, I think.
temperature bond? Yeah. Temperature bond. Now I should start teaching Abhidhamma Sangha in English so that I get familiar with this word. Okay. So then you have the for the Dhatu Sanghahena Sanghahita also, it is this dhammas, right? It's the same. Right. So these dhammas, we have te dhamma, katihi kandihi, katihi ayatanehi, katihi dhatuhi sampati. So dhammas with how many aggregates, with how many bases, with how many elements are those dhammas associated with, right? So those dhammas, the answer is given as nothing, not associated, right? Because these dhammas are matter, so we don't have any association with these dhammas. And then the second part of the question, the second question, it's given as katihi vipayutta, with how many aggregates, with how many bases, with how many elements are those dhammas, the states, are disassociated with. So the answer is given as Chatuhi Kandehi, right? It is disassociated with 4 aggregates. So what are those 4 aggregates? Straightforward, it's the mental factors. The mental aggregates. The 4 mental aggregates. Right? And then Ekin Ayatanena Sattahi Dhatuhi. So one base, which is the mind base, Sattahi Dhatuhi means the 7 mind elements. Then we have the partial dissociation, or the partial dissociation is, it is given as Ekin Ayatanena Ekaya Dhatuya Kehichi Vipayutta. Right? It's partially dissociated with one, so which is the ideation element. The ideation which are disassociated here, it's the 52 mental factors, right? Straightforward. Okay, so that's how we get the answer for the Paridevena. Yes. Also.
So Bande, for the Abhidhamma should be 8 types of rupa.
Which one?
For this Abhidhamma.
First Abhidhamma.
Yeah, first Abhidhamma.
No, it should be this. Right? Non-lamentation sound and temperature bone sound. For Khanda Sangahina Sangahita, yeah. For actually, for Khanda Sangahina
But so
Sangahita,
you mean like all types of rupa except this two types of sound.
for the Khanda Sangahina Sangahita, is it?
For the first Abhidhamma.
The first Abhidhamma is this one. Only the non-lamentation sound and the temperature bone sound. Right? Yeah. So let me add something for the first, for the Khanda Sangahina Sangahita. It's the matter aggregate. So what we can say for here, we can say the matter excluding the lamentation sound. Right? Are we clear? Then we move to the Ayatana Sangahina Sangahita. Then it's in the sound base. This state of inquiry, it's classified in the sound base. And out of these dhammas, out of these the Khanda dhammas which were classified in the classification of aggregates, only these two types, non-lamentation sound and temperature bone sound, are classified by the Paridevena from the lamentation. So this becomes the Yedhamma.
Okay, Bande.
Yeah.
So the Abhidhamma should be actually also the sound, but the non-lamentation sound and also non-temperature borne sound.
Yeah, not non-temperature, it's temperature bone sound. Now, okay, let me
temperature
recall.
borne.
Yeah.
Yes,
Let me recall. Yeah, let me recall something also which we discussed previously, right? So we classified the sound, right? Sound, we classified it as the mind bone sound and temperature bone, chittaja and utuja, in this way. And mind bone, for this analysis, we say it as the lamentation sound and non-lamentation sound. We have this classification.
OK 本。
Yes, sir. That's good. Yeah.
好，那对于第414段的经文的内容呢，这里的探究法是 Barideva， 就是悲，或者呢是悲叹。那么它呢是属于一种的声音。那这里的话，我们先看到，在这里我们对于声音在之前所提到的探究法之时呢，对于这个声音也做过这样的分析。我们将声音分为两类，一种呢是新生的声，一种呢是世界声的声。对于新生的声而言呢，我们又可以将它分为两类，即是新生的悲声，还有呢新生的非悲的声音。那在此，如果探究法是悲的声音，接下来我们在分析的时候呢，就要了知，在分析的时候，有些时候呢，以声而言，在声这一组别之中，除了悲声之外，则剩下的则可以是非新生的悲声以及世界声的声音这两种的声音的色法。好，那么当确定了探究法是新生的悲这样的一种声音的色法之后呢，有哪些法以韵触界相摄的内容能够与这样的悲声的相摄是相同的呢？那以韵而言呢，我们知道在色韵之中，除了新生的悲声之外，其他的色法呢也都可以包含在韵之中。但是在触之中呢，有哪些法能够像悲声一样都被包含在声这样的一种色法的色触之中呢？ 那答案呢，就是在声处之中，也是对于声音而言呢，只有新生的非悲声和世界声的声音这两种类型的声音的色法，或者说声处以及声界呢，它们则是可以和悲声属于相同的归纳于相同的运出界的范围之中。因此，我们得到第一个耶达玛的内容呢，它就是新生的非悲的声音和世界声的声音。对于这些的色法而言，接下来我们继续往下看，有哪些的法与它相应或部分相应呢？因为这里的探究法，这里的耶达玛是色法，所以不存在相应和不相应的法，不存在相应和部分相应的法。那么对于这样的色法，又有哪些法是不相应的呢？那有4种的韵、1种的处和7种的界是不相应的。那和之前讲的一样，就是4种的名韵、1种的意处和7种的实界，与这些色法呢是不相应的。对于部分不相应而言呢，则是有1种的处、1种的界，即是法处和法界。在法处和法界之中的52种心所法呢，作为法处和法界的部分呢，它们是与这些的声音呢，也是存在不相应的关系。那这样的话，我们得到的答案呢是1种的处和1种的界部分不相应于声音，部分不相应于这里的耶达玛的内容。OK，本的。
Okay. So we have discussed the groups, the 6 groups from the method number 11, and now we are moving into the method number 13, right? Which is slightly different from what we discussed already, right? So from method number 11, what we had was Sanghahitena, Sanghahitang, Sanghahitena, Sampayutang, Vipayutang, right? So it was, we consider it was in the first part, it was the classification, and then in the second part, it was the association and disassociation. So in the case with the method number 13, it is the classification, unclassification, and then association and disassociation, right? So that's what we have to learn here. So, okay, so first part will be, it's on right here, it is on the unclassification, right? Unclassification, and in the second part, it's going to be association and disassociation. Okay, so that's what you are going to do in this one, right? It's pretty much the same with the method number 11. The only difference is from here, right? In the method number 11, it was classification. In the method number 13, it's unclassification. Yes.
那接下来我们要看一下的是第13法的内容。第13法呢，它叫做阿三嘎伊德那三巴尤达灰巴尤达，即是呢以非摄相应不相应。相比较于刚刚我们所看到的第12法的第11法的内容呢，那这里呢则是将第一部分的以摄的内容呢变化成了以非摄的内容。那由此呢，它由这3个部分构成。OK， 班内。
Okay, so first we'll go to the Please wait. I think I have to switch off my lights. Okay, so the state of inquiry, the first group that we have to discuss here, it's on the Rupakandena. Rupakandena means the matter aggregate, right, which means the 28 matter. Right. So then we have to take the Khanda Sanghahena Sanghahita, Asangahita, Ayatana Sanghahena Asangahita, and Dhatu Sanghahena Sanghahita, which means unclassified using the classification of aggregates, unclassified using the classification of bases, and unclassified using the classification of element, right? Elements. So if you quickly go through, this is similar to the first part of the question. It's similar to the method number 5. So nevertheless, I will quickly go through it so that you all can recall it, right? So Yadama Khanda Sanghahena Sanghahita means unclassified using the classification of aggregates. So it's the from the Rupa Khanda, the Dhammas which are unclassified are the 4 mental aggregates. So it's going to be the from these 4 mental aggregates. Now 4 mental aggregates in the classification of the bases, it's in the mind element and also in the ideation element, mind base and the ideation base. So in the ideation base, we have the rupa, the subtle matter. So the dhammas which are in the ideation base, the 52 mental factors and the nibbana are classified by the Rupa Khanda. So it's only the 89 consciousness which are unclassified. So it is the same case with the Dhatu Sanghahena Asangahita, unclassified using the classification of elements, right? The 89 consciousness. Okay, so then the question that asks, this part is straightforward. It says te dhamma katihi kandehi katihi ayatanehi katihi dhatuhi sampavita. So those states with how many aggregates, with how many elements, with how many bases, with how many elements are those states are associated with. It says te dhamma tihi kandehi sampavita. So tihi kandehi means it's associated with 3 aggregates. So this 89 consciousness associated with the feeling, perception, and mental formations. Okay, so then it says ekena ayatanena ekaya dhatuya kehichi sampayutta, right? So ekena ayatanena ekaya dhatuya kehichi sampayutta means it is partially associated with one base and one element, which is the ideation base and ideation element, right? So what are the dhammas which are applicable here? Those are the 52 mental factors, right? This consciousness, the 89 consciousness are associated with those 52 mental factors. Then we have the question on disassociation, kati vippayutta. So it's given as ekena kandena dasahayatanehi dasai dhatu vippayutta. So it's disassociated with one aggregate. Ekena kandena vippayutta means disassociated with one aggregate. So that is the matter aggregate. Straightforward, right? Then the next one is dasahayatanehi and dasai dhatuhi. It's the 10 bases and 10 elements. So those are going to be the 10 gross bases and elements. Okay. And then we have the partial disassociation. It's given as ekena ayatanena ekaya dhatuya kehichi vippayutta. So it's ideation base and ideation element. So that's going to be the 16 subtle matter, and nibbana, right? So that's how we derive the partial disassociation for this one. Yes. Yes, also.
好，那么我们来看一下在第13法之中的内容。那这里的话呢，是以非胜的方式而展开。我们根据第448段的经文来去拆解一下。那首先内容呢是 Rubakanda，即是色蕴，其内容呢包含有28种的色法。对于28种的色蕴而言，它非摄于哪些的蕴处界呢？或者有哪些的法，他们也非摄于他们。那首先呢，对于28种的色法呢，他们非摄于4种的名蕴。那对于4种的名蕴而言呢，他们进一步的不会相同的被收纳在11种的处和11种的界之中。那因此呢，我们得到的第一个的耶达曼的内容呢，就是不相摄于这些的4种名蕴，不相摄于。那我们得到的答案呢，就是1种的处和7种的界。其实呢，在这4名蕴之中呢，有1种的处和7种的界，即是1处跟70界，它们呢是不会相摄于存在色蕴的处和界之中。因此，第一个的耶达玛的内容呢，就是10蕴89种的心。对于10蕴而言呢，它相应于哪些的法呢？10蕴呢，它只相应于3种的蕴，即是受想行3种的蕴。那10蕴部分相应于1种的处和1种的界，就是法处和法界之中的52种心所法。那再者，对于10蕴而言，有哪些法是与它不相应的呢？那是有1种的色蕴，还有呢10种的粗的色处和粗的色界。 那对于部分不相应而言呢，则是有一种的处和一种的界里面的16种微细色和涅槃与时运呢是部分不相应的。OK， Bande。
Oh, so Syale Aganyana is asking a question. Why is Nibbana mentioned as partial disassociation as it was included in Yedhamma? So I'll repeat the question, right? So what she's asking is that the Nibbana is right. So in partial disassociation, we have this Nibbana. So she's asking why it was considered as partial disassociation, because it was the Yedhamma here. Okay, so yeah, so let me clarify this thing a little bit more. So Rupakkhanda, the 20 the matter, the 28 matter, it was the Paramata Sarupata for the state of inquiry, and for Khanda Sanghahena Asangahita, disassociated with the disassociated by the Rupakkhanda. So we have two things here. One is the four mental aggregates. Secondly, we had Nibbana, right? But when we move into the Ayatana Sanghahena Sanghahita, association of disassociation, disassociated by the classification of bases, our answer was only 89 consciousness. So out of these four mental aggregates and Nibbana, only 89 consciousness are taken here. The reason being is now we know in the ideation element. Okay, we'll just have this thing. Okay, this is the ideation base. Say this is the ideation base, right? So in the ideation base, we have basically there are three elements, right? One is the subtle matter. Two, we have the 52 mental factors, and then three, we have the Nibbana. So we are clear with this thing, right? So then, because our state of inquiry is the Rupakkhanda here, we have subtle matter here, right, in the ideation base. So by the subtle matter, the 52 mental factors and Nibbana are both. These both are two dhammas. These two types of dhammas are classified. So because of that, these 52 mental factors are not considered to be unclassified. These Nibbana are not unclassified because they are classified. So that's the reason we only take the 89 consciousness, which are unclassified by the matter aggregate. Yeah, so that becomes the Yedhamma for Ayatana after considering the classification of the bases, right? So the finally Yedhamma becomes this 89 consciousness. So Sally, are you clear with this thing? No answer. Okay. Hope it's okay, Sally. Okay. So do you need to translate this one?
OK，班队。好，那在这里的话呢，夏利问了一个问题：为什么在耶达玛，为什么在耶达玛之中所包含的，为什么涅槃被包含在部分的不相应之中？正如它被包含在第一个耶达玛之中。那对这个问题呢，老师进行了解释，就是呢，当我们在确定第一个耶达玛的时候呢，实际上它的内容里面不包含有涅槃，只包含有89种的心。为什么呢？因为对于色蕴而言呢，那色蕴它也包含有16种的微细色。对于微细色而言呢，它出现在法处或者是法界之中。那在法处之中呢，那因为它出现了，它被它有16种的微细色被归纳在法处之中。那同样的，像52种的心所法和涅槃呢，也被包含在法处之中。当我们去探讨那些不被包含在法处之中的内容的时候，或者不包含在那些色蕴所被包含的蕴处界之中的时候呢，我们就不能够去考虑这52种的心所和涅槃。因此呢，我们最终得到的第一个耶达玛的内容呢，仅仅是89种的实心，仅仅是实蕴，而并没有包含涅槃的内容。OK，班队。
Okay, so now we move into the next state of inquiry, which is the arupa bhavena. Arupa bhavena means it's the immaterial becoming, right? Immaterial becoming. So the sarupata here, it's the four immaterial resultant consciousness and the 30 mental factors associated with them, right? So then we have to get the disassociation for this one. So for disassociation, we have the Kanda Sangahina Sangahita, which means the disassociated with by the classification of the aggregates. So it becomes the 28 matter. Right, comes the 28 matter, and when you move to the Ayatana Sangahena Asangahita, in the Ayatana Sangahena Asangahita, in the Ayatana Sangahena, in the classification of the bases, the state of inquiry, the 4 immaterial resultant consciousness and the 30 mental factors. Out of them, the 30 mental factors are classified in the classification. It's classified in the ideation base, right? So because it's classified in the ideation base, so the other dhammas which are appearing in the ideation base are considered are not considered as unclassified. So which means out of this 28 matter, only the 12 gross matter, right? 12 gross matter, which are classified in the 10 gross bases, are disassociated. Ayatana Sangahena Asangahita. Then for the Dhatu Sangahena Asangahita also, it is the same, right? It's going to be the 12 gross matter. Then those dhammas, te dhamma, katihi kandehi, katihi ayatanehi, katihi dhatu vippayita. Those dhammas with how many aggregates, with how many bases, with how many elements are those states associated with? And the answer is given as natti, which means it's not associated, because these dhammas are not the mental aggregates, right? It's the rupa, so it's not associated. Then we have the second question, katihi vippayita. Which means with how many aggregates, with how many bases, with how many elements are these states, are these dhammas are disassociated. So it is given as chatuhi kandehi, which means it is these dhammas are disassociated with 4 aggregates, right? Those are the 4 mental aggregates. Then ekena ayatanena and sattahi dhatuhi. Ekena ayatanena means associated with, sorry, disassociated with one one base, which is the mind base. Then we have sattahi dhatuhi. Sattahi dhatuhi means the 7 mind 7 mind elements. Then we have the partial disassociation. Ekena ayatanena ekaya dhatuya kehicha vippayutta. So this is the ideation base and also the ideation element. So it's going to be the 52 mental factors which these matter are disassociated. Yes.
我们来看一下最后一个探究法的内容，而如巴巴维纳，这是无色有。什么是无色有？它所对应的探究的究竟法的内容呢？即是4种的无色界果报心，以及其相应的30种心所法。那对于这4种的无色界果报心和30种的心所相应法，那如果我们以蕴处界的非摄来去分析一下，首先呢，这些的名法呢，以蕴而言，它们相摄于4种的名蕴，那因此呢，它们非摄于色蕴。那进一步的，这些的名法呢，它们摄于2种的处，即是法处和意处，因此呢，它们非摄于10种的色处。那么在这里的话呢，我们在色蕴之中呢，就应当取出10种的粗色处作为这里的不相摄的内容。那对于戒的内容呢，也是如此。那最终呢，我们得到第一个耶达玛的内容呢，即是10种的粗的色处，或者是10种粗的色界，即是对应的12种类型的色法。那对于这12种类型的究竟色法而言，它们是否存在相应或部分相应的法呢？答案是不存在，因为它们是色法。对于不相应的内容而言呢，则是有4种的名蕴、受想行识、1种的益处和7种的世界与它不相应。部分不相应而言呢，则是有1种的处、1种的界，即是法处和法界之中的52种心所法与它是不相应的。OK， Banday。
Okay, so that is method number 13, which only 2 groups we have to discuss there. So there are a few things maybe I need to remember to explain on the states of inquiries for these 2 methods, which I'll do on the next week. So what we are going to do in the next week is that there were a question that which Brother JJ asked from some methods. So I was waiting to complete all the methods to explain the answer. So that I will explain. And apart from that, we are done with everything, right? All 14 methods we have completed. So yeah, so I think maybe the next week it's going to be our final class, right? Yeah.
萨度萨度。好，那么尊者说呢，那到这里为止的话呢，我们就可以看到所有的在结论之中所提到的13种的分析法呢，我们已经全部的结束了。在下一节课呢，老师将会进一步的给大家做一些的总结，解释一些特别的问题。那还有呢，对于这些有在之前课上提出的问题呢，也会在下一堂课呢做一个回复。那下一堂课呢，也即将是这一个阶段系列的最后一堂课了。Yes, Monday.
Okay. Misha merits, right? Okay, so we'll share the merits which we accumulated during our class by learning, by teaching, by reflecting the supreme words of our master, the Lord Buddha. So with this kusala, may it be a supportive factor for us to attain Nibbana. May it be a supportive factor for our teachers, our Dhamma friends, and all the other supporters to attain Nibbana. May this kusala kamma be a supportive factor for all the beings in this world and the other world to attain Nibbana. May all the beings in this world and the other worlds be well, happy, healthy, and peaceful, and may all they attain Nibbana. So with this wish, we'll recite the final stanzas of the Abhidhamma commentary and share merits. Yang patantang kusalang tassa anubhave panino sabbe saddhamma rajassa nyatva dhammang sukhavahang papunantu visuddhaya sukhaya patipattiya asoka manu amme hontu sagarva sabbe pisatta kalena samma devo pavassatu yatharak insu purana surajano tatevimang raja rakkatu dhammena attanova pajang imaya dhammanu dhamma patipattiya buddhang pujemi imaya dhammanu dhamma patipattiya dhammang pujemi imaya dhammanu dhamma patipattiya sanghang pujemi addhaimaya patipattiya jati jara vyadhi maranam ha parimuccissami idang me punyang asavakkaya vahang hotu idang me punyang nibbanassa paccayo hotu mama punya bhagang sabba sattanang bhajemi. te sabbe me samang punya bhagang labhantu. Buddha sasanam chirang tithatu. Buddha sasanam chirang tithatu. Buddha sasanam chirang tithatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Bande, take care. Thank you for Bande's teaching. Sadhu.